Hey guys, Mike here, the Detroit Borg, with a look at Samsung's largest Tab S, the 10.5 inch. Already taken a look at the 8.4 inch, now it's time for the largest tablet. So the 10.5 inch is available in two colors, white and the bronze color I have here, so we're going to take a look at both of them. Now this is here to take on the iPad Air and is priced accordingly. So for $499 you get a 16 gig Wi-Fi version with a Super AMOLED display, a fingerprint sensor, and a really thin, lightweight form factor. This is slightly larger than Samsung's other 10-inch tablets like the Note 10.1 or the Tab Pro 10.1 inch. This is 10.5 inches. Now this also picks up the fingerprint scanner from the Galaxy S5, just like the Tab S 8.4 inch, so you can unlock the phone using a swipe of your finger. We also have an 8 megapixel rear-facing camera with an LED flash and a 2.1 megapixel front-facing camera. Of course, this wouldn't be a Samsung product without an IR LED blaster for controlling your AV equipment. Alright, so let's go ahead and unbox both tablets here. So I'm going to slice the tab along the side, flip it over and pop this out, and we should have this little drawer that slides right out. So there we go, Galaxy Tab S looks like it's upside down here for me. So I'm going to pull this up. Now it has somewhat different packaging than before. It used to come in a plastic wrapper. Instead, it's just this nice sort of fabric wrapper. So let's go and pull this out here. Slides right out, and there we go. It's also upside down. There we go. We also have lots of plastic along the edges here, so let's go and peel that off. And we have a little plastic around the camera module. So there we go. Once again, just like the Tab S 8.4 inch or the Galaxy S5, we have that stippled pattern along the back, along with this sort of pearlescent coloring Samsung calls modern glam. So the white version is pretty familiar. So let's get to the brown or bronze version. So again, just slice the tab here, pull out the tray. So let's go ahead and pull this out here, and again it looks like the wrapper is upside down. We're going to pull this tab and slide it out. So just like the Tab S 8.4 inch, we have this nice metallic sort of bronze color. I wouldn't say it's bronze, it's more of a gray color. I actually really like it. It's kind of different. You can see here we have that gold trim along the Samsung branding, all around the camera module, the LED flash, and along the side. So let's take a look at the accessories they've included. So we have our paperwork here. So you can see we have the SMT800 Quick Start Guide. We're going to go through that in this video. We also have our USB wall adapter, again standard Samsung travel adapter with the USB port along the side. And then we have a micro USB charging cable. So again, like most tablets, no headphones are included. Now the white and bronze version have the exact same white accessories, so no difference there. So let's get to the tablets. Now, of course, we have the standard array of Samsung keys. So we have our home button with the integrated fingerprint scanner. And then we have our Android keys, which includes recent apps, and our back button. Of course, these do have multi-functions. Now, if you look toward the top in landscape orientation, you have a front-facing 2.1 megapixel camera and an ambient light sensor. What you don't have here is an LED notification light. Now, toward the left-hand side on the top, you'll find your sleep wake power and off button right next to the volume rocker. Now, along the right-hand side, you'll find your headphone jack along with one of the stereo speakers. Now, if you go to the right-hand side, you'll find the other stereo speakers right next to the micro SD card slot, which supports 128 gig cards. Now, the interesting thing here is that we have a micro USB charging port along the right-hand edge instead of toward the bottom where the buttons are. This is a change from Samsung's other 10-inch tablets. Now, toward the top, just above the camera, is an IR LED blaster, which works to control your AV equipment. Of course, they do include an app for that. Now, toward the bottom, you'll find a pinhole microphone, so don't cover that up. Now, on the back, we have an 8 megapixel camera with autofocusing and 1080p HD video, along with an LED flash right below them. Now, just like the 8.4 inch, we also have these fittings for a cover accessory, which Samsung sells. So instead of using magnets, instead it uses these friction fittings. So if we look at the Tab S to the Tab Pro, you can see that the Tab S is quite a bit thinner than the Tab Pro. You can see the buttons are pretty much the same, just thinned down and lengthened for the Tab S. Toward the top, you have an IR LED blaster. As you can see, we also have our camera modules. And again, slight different design, but they pretty much have the same specs. We have an LED flash, 8 megapixels with autofocusing and 1080p video. Now on the left-hand edge, you have your headphone jack along with one of the stereo speakers. And you can see that the Tab Pro does have a larger grill. So volume is a bit louder on the Tab Pro versus the Tab S. On the right-hand side, you have another stereo speaker, a micro SD card slot, just moved up a bit. We also have our micro USB port on the Tab S, and that is on the bottom of the Tab Pro, at least on the bottom if you consider the buttons to be an indication of where the bottom is on this tablet. Now you can see these Android keys are about the same, but the Tab S integrates the fingerprint sensor, which the Tab Pro doesn't. Now on the top you have the same 2.1 megapixel front-facing camera, good for 1080p video, and an ambient light sensor. Now if you look at the overall form factor of the tablet, you can see that the Tab S is a bit wider, but also has a narrower bezel on each side. So there's a little less space to grip onto the tablet. Alright, so let's take a look at our user interface, starting with the lock screen. So you can see here that we have these little widgets which feed some live information. We can swipe to unlock our tablet. It takes us to a pretty familiar Samsung TouchWiz experience. So if you're multiple home screens, you can pinch in and out to edit them. You can select which one you want to be the home screen. You can add additional home screens as well. Just swipe here to add new home screens. And of course, if you don't want them, just drag them up to remove. We also have our widgets here, so you can add new widgets. Now if you go to the home screen, you can see we have these two icons which are persistent on the home screen. So we have our file manager, so you can see we have all of our recent files and they're all categorized by images, videos, audio, that sort of thing, which is kind of nice. And then we have our app drawer, which is where we can see all of our available apps. You can see that Samsung has loaded quite a few of them. Now, if you swipe all the way to the right, you get to this My Magazine viewer, which includes things like your calendar widget, your office widget, email widget. You also have Paper Garden, which is a magazine subscription service, which allows you pretty much to aggregate all your magazine subscriptions. And then we have Here and Now, which is a mapping service. And then we also have Samsung Watch On, which is the remote control app, so you can quickly access your remote control just in this widget alone. Now, a quick briefing includes things like bookmarks. You can tap to add a new alarm, select new events, or add stocks to view. So pretty much a widget that encompasses all the major features that you may want to access quickly. Now, My Magazine is highly customizable, so if you pinch in and out, you get to an editor. So you can add up to 5 home screens here to add additional widgets. So for example, if we tap on this page, we can add additional widgets from the selection below. So you can see news, applications, and if you select any one of them, you can see it just starts adding them until it's full. So each page can handle up to 6 widgets at once. And again, all these widgets are also customizable. You can actually adjust the content that feeds into them. So these are live widgets which you can cycle through, and you can tap on the article to get a full screen view. And as you can see here, this is powered by Flipboard. Now, of course, we have our drop-down notification shade with all our quick access toggles on the top, and then we have all our notifications down here, along with quick access to Quick Connect, which shows us all of the available wireless devices nearby. And then you can see that we have S Finder, which allows us to search the device or the web for anything. So for example, if we search Android, it'll find our emails, our bookmarks, recent visited sites, stuff like that, or phone numbers, that sort of thing. You can see it breaks it all down for us. You can see calendar, Chrome, My Files, settings, and web search. So for example, if you want to access the fingerprint scanner, all I have to do is start typing in fingerprint in the search box here, and you can see under settings, finger scanner. So if we select that, it takes us right to that settings panel. So you can see here that we have our fingerprint manager, and this is where we can set up our fingerprint. So the first thing I need to do is train one of my fingers. I'm going to just use my index finger here. Now the next thing that's required is an access code in case the fingerprint scanner doesn't work. So click continue, and we have to confirm that. Alright, so that is activated now. So if you go to the home screen here, you can see that we have to swipe down to unlock it, and it works pretty well. Now if we go to our drop-down notification shade, you can see all of these quick setting toggles which reveal some of the available features here. Now you can see we have a row of icons here, but not all of them are revealed, so you have to go up here to see all of them. So you can see we have the standard array of things like Wi-Fi, location, our sound settings, which you can tap on and off to change. We have our screen rotation, lock, Bluetooth settings. We also have ultra power saving mode. So if you tap ultra power saving mode, this enables a feature which basically allows you to extend the battery life of this tablet significantly. So you can see with 95%, we have 73.5 days of standby time here, which is not what you get otherwise. So when you turn this on, it basically shuts down everything running in the background, simplifies the user interface, and turns it to this grayscale theme. So you can see very simple. You have some icons you can add here. So you can see only the ones that are available, which includes Calculator, Google+, and Twitter. So again, very simplified interface, but allows you to really extend the battery life of this thing. Also in that drop-down shade is Adapt Display. So we have several options under Adapt Display. So you can see we can use Adaptive Display, which will automatically adjust the screen's color temperature and brightness depending on the content you're viewing, such as movies, pictures, that sort of thing. You can see we also can select other things like AMOLED Cinema, AMOLED Photo, or Basic. So you can see Adapt Display is quite a bit more vibrant, and it tells you exactly how it behaves when you select it. Now we also have multi-window mode, which you can toggle on and off. So let's talk about multi-window mode. So you can see here, this is a tray of apps that supports multi-window mode. So it's basically 2 apps running side by side. So for example, we can launch Chrome here, and then let's launch YouTube side by side here. So you can see we can resize these windows so we can watch a video in one window and browse the web on the other window. Now you can see here that when I tap on the windows, they actually highlight in blue, which indicates that you have active control of that window. I can also tap this icon here, so I can maximize this window or close it. I can also copy text from one window to the other. I can swap between the left-hand and right-hand side, or I can manage more than one app in each window. So let me show you exactly how this works. So for example, if I want to drag and drop, let's say the Gmail app onto this window, that means if I tap here, I can access that window again. So I basically have multi or recent apps within each window. So that works for both sides here. And I can have as many as I need to. So I can continue dropping as many as I want. And that feature will continue to work. Of course, I can also just close them out to exit those apps. Now you can also edit what appears in this tray. So if you go to edit, you can see the apps that are available that are not there by default. So for example, if you want the Google Play Store, you can drag and drop that like so, or drag and drop anything out of here that you don't want. Now you can also create custom recipes as well. So let's get out of this. So if you go to create here, basically what will happen is that whatever windows you have open right now will create a custom recipe. So you can see Gmail and Chrome. So instead of having to open up both windows every time, instead you just tap that and it launches both windows for you. Now, unlike the Tab Pro, the Tab S can't window apps. So, for example, with the Tab Pro, all you have to do is tap one of these icons in the multi-window tray, pops out into an individual window, which you can resize, minimize, and that sort of thing. Now, to bring up the multi-window tray, you basically just swipe in from the right edge, or you can hide it. You can also tap and hold the back button to bring it up. Now, it's pretty easy to inadvertently trigger this, so a lot of people would like to just turn it off, so that's why they have this quick setting toggle up here to turn it off and on. Now we also have Toolbox, which is kind of a widget here that allows us to quickly access popular apps. So you can see here it pretty much disappears and goes into a translucent state and stays out of the way, but when you need it, you just tap on it and it brings up these apps. Now if you tap and hold on this, you can go up here to edit to change the apps that appear here. So you can see all the available apps. Now you're limited to only 5 apps, I think. So if you want to add Chrome here, you're going to have to uncheck one of the other apps. So for example, let's go ahead and uncheck the standard app or included browser and select Chrome. So now if we go to that, actually we're going to have to click done here. So now if we go to the widget, you can see we have Chrome here. So we can tap on that, just launches the Chrome window. We also have screen mirroring, which basically allows us to wirelessly broadcast the display and audio of this tablet to a compatible device such as a Samsung Smart TV, which also works really well. Now we also have Smart Stay and Smart Pause, pretty familiar Samsung features. Again, it uses that front-facing camera to monitor for the presence of your eyes, so it prevents the display from going to sleep, or pauses and resumes video playback with the presence of your eyes. We also have power saving mode. So if you tap on this, it enables power saving. This is a little more controllable than ultra power saving mode, which really dials back performance. So if you want to access those controls, just tap and hold on it. It takes you directly to the settings panel. If you click on, you can control how this behaves. So for example, you can dial back CPU performance, screen output, turn off the touch key lights, or turn off GPS. So all of that is controllable under here. We also have blocking mode, which allows us to set a do not disturb policy on this device. So for example, you can turn it on right now, or you can select specific times of day to set for that feature to enable. Now I also have increased touch sensitivity, so if you toggle this on, it basically allows you to use this tablet with gloved hands. Now private mode allows us to hide certain items using Samsung apps, and you do have to authenticate either with a password or a fingerprint to enable that feature. So for example, if we're in the gallery app here, we can hide some of the photos we've snapped with this tablet. So for example, if I want to hide this photo, just select it, go up here and select hide. Move to private right there. So we can now see the item is flagged as private. So if we go to our drop down shade here and disable private mode, that will hide the item. So that means if we want to access that item again, we'll have to enable private mode, authenticate, and it will reappear. Of course, this also works with things like documents, music, video, and that sort of thing. Now if we go to the app drawer, you can see we have the standard array of Google apps, Samsung apps, and some third-party apps. So you can see we have Paper Garden, which is launching with the Tab S. Basically, this is a magazine subscription service, which is integrated in that My Magazine viewer. You can see we have WebEx and Remote PC, which is something we saw with the Tab Pro. What you don't have here is e-meeting. We also have Handcom Office Viewer for viewing Office formatted documents. Then we have some third-party apps like Dropbox and Evernote. We have Business Week, along with New York Times, which is subscription-based. You do get a trial membership to those when you buy this tablet. And of course with Dropbox, Samsung has a relationship with Dropbox, so you get 50 gigs of storage free for 2 years when you log in with your new Samsung device. Now there's a lot of managing options under the app drawer. You can go to edit to rearrange apps or folder them. You can also uninstall or disable apps here, so you can uninstall, disable them, or hide applications that are not eligible for uninstallation. You can also go to Galaxy Essentials to see all the available apps for your tablet. So you can see we have the Gear Manager, Video Editor, lots of other stuff that's available for your tablet that doesn't necessarily come pre-installed. Now, as I said, these Android keys do have multiple uses, so if you double tap the home button, it takes you to S-Voice. What's the weather like tomorrow in Detroit?
On Tuesday, we'll have some sunshine with a few clouds.
You can see we also have all of our suggested actions that you can use S-Voice for. You can also tap and hold the home button to get to Google Now. Okay, Google, what's the weather like tomorrow in Rochester Hills?
Tomorrow's forecast for Rochester Hills is 79 degrees and partly cloudy.
Now, of course, we have our recent apps. You can see all the available recent apps. You can swipe them out of the way to close them or access them. You can also close them all or go to Task Manager for additional management options. So you can see how much RAM we're taking up out of those 3 gigs, and you can end them all to close them if you prefer. We're going to click Cancel right there. Now, this also acts as your menu button. So on the home screen, if you tap and hold it, it takes you to your home screen editor. But of course, if you're in Chrome, just tap and hold it, takes you to your menu options here. And of course, you can tap and hold the back button to get to your multi-window mode. Now, the Tab S also comes pre-installed with SideSync 3.0. This is available for other Samsung tablets, but it launched with the Tab S. Now, I've already covered this in the Tab S 8.4 review, so I'm just going to copy and paste that next. The Tab S comes pre-installed with SideSync 3.0, and you can also install this on your Galaxy phone if it's not already installed. So basically, it's using Wi-Fi Direct to communicate between both devices. So you do have to launch the app on both devices in order for this to work. And basically what will happen here is that you can connect to your phone and virtualize the display on your tablet. So we just have to agree to it. So there we go. We actually have this little window here of the phone's display, which you can interact with just like you would on the phone itself. You can swipe down to get to your notification panel. You can tap on one of the items to launch the app. And again, this is happening on the phone and just being broadcasted to your tab wirelessly. Now, if you go to the phone, you can see that it does shut down the virtualizer on the tablet, but you can switch it back like so. So you can't use both devices at the same time in this mode. Now, you can move this window around or you can minimize it like so, and this will basically give you this little floating icon which stays out of the way, and you can jump to it when you need it. Now you can go to full screen mode, and as you can see up here, you get your Android controls for home, back, and recent apps as well as menu. You can jump to a web browser on your tablet if you tap this icon here, and it will minimize the app for you like that, so you can continue browsing on your tablet and jump back to your phone here. Let's go to maximize again. You can change the orientation of the display, and then you can do a screen grab of the phone's display. And then you can go to full screen or minimize. Now, as you can see here, this window floats in the background, so you can continue doing other things while this window is here. You can also resize it if you prefer. And you can see there is some latency, and the display isn't as sharp on the tablet as it is on the phone itself. So the resolution isn't exactly duplicated here, but it is scaled properly for speed and performance. Now, with SideSync 3.0, you can answer phone calls using the tablet. So when you're receiving a phone call, you either have the option to answer it on the phone or the tablet. If you answer it on the tablet, it uses the internal microphone and speakers, but your phone is doing all the work. So it's actually a bridge between the two devices. So let's take a look at our settings panel. So you can see it's divided into these tabs for quick access, but you can also just search the settings panel by going up here for searching. So this is very nice because this allows us, instead of digging through all of these settings panel, we can just search for what we want. So you can see we have all our connections for Bluetooth, airplane mode, data usage, locations, more networks, nearby devices, printing, and screen mirroring. Under device, you can see we have things like our display settings, wallpapers, the lock screen. Now under lock screen, this is where we can modify the cards that appear here. So if we tab here, you can see that we have weather, today's schedule, today's birthdays, news, social, and email. All of those depend on the information you've logged into your account. Now under the notification panel, you can rearrange the toggles that appear in the drop-down shade. You can also disable or enable the volume and brightness controls. Now under motions, you see we have things like palm swipe to capture. So basically it tells you how that works, but all you have to do is swipe your palm across the screen for a screen grab, which is very useful to know. Now this tablet also supports multi-user, so that's available under device, under users here, and so you can add additional users. This means they can log in with their own accounts, and they won't have access to your account. So basically what will happen is that you get a lock screen with several users that you can select from, and all you have to do is select the user you want and access using your own password, your fingerprint scan, or whatever to access to the account, and you can play within your own account without affecting the other users. So you can download your own apps, your own music. You can set up your own wallpaper, take your own photos, that sort of thing. All right, so let's take a look at the camera app, which is pretty full featured. So you can snap a photograph, you can record video, pause while recording video and resume it as well. You can also snap photos while recording video. You can stop that. You can pinch in and out to zoom, which is just digital cropping, of course. Tap anywhere on the scene to focus, and you can see it's pretty quick. It takes photos pretty quickly. Now we also have our mode selector here, so you can see we have auto, beauty, face, shot, more, panorama, rich tone, and dual camera mode. Dual camera mode allows you to record both the front-facing and rear-facing camera at the same time, so there you go. So you can resize it, you can change the border of that thumbnail to quite a few different variations. You can also manage your modes here, so you can uncheck the ones you don't want displayed, or you can actually download additional modes from Samsung. So we go to download here. You can see there's only a few that are available, such as Sports Shot and Sound In Shot, so not a whole lot to pick from. So under our settings, you can see we have our photo resolution, 8 megapixels is 4:3, 6 is 16:9. We also have HD video, so we have Full HD, 720p, or VGA. You can see we also have stabilization for both photo and video built right in. Now in terms of camera quality, it's actually pretty decent. Now it delivers excellent results in bright daylight conditions, so you get excellent color reproduction, excellent balance between low lights and highlights, and does a generally nice job with 1080p video, which is stabilized. So definitely no complaints about this camera under ideal circumstances, but of course in low light conditions, it's definitely not the best camera out there. But it gets the job done, and with an LED flash, it's better than a lot of tablets today. Now my favorite feature of the Tab S is that Super AMOLED display. Now the great thing about Super AMOLED is that it delivers extremely vivid colors, but it can also be tuned to be very accurate. In this case, the Tab S has done a really nice job tuning this display, but it also gives you absolute blacks because this is an emissive technology versus LCD's transmissive technology. Transmissive basically means that the entire panel is backlit, whether the pixel is black or not, so you do get light bleeding with LCD. So this makes this one of the best tablets for watching movies. You also have excellent off-axis viewing, and you have those stereo speakers on the left-hand and right-hand side for a completely immersive experience. So I'm definitely impressed overall for the media consumption capabilities of this tablet, and generally speaking, the vivid experience, which is unrivaled by any other tablet this size. Now in terms of our Geekbench 3 scores, you can see the Tab S on the right here and the Tab Pro 10.1 on the left. You can see they're pretty closely matched, and that's because they pretty much have the exact same Exynos processor clocked at 1.9 gigahertz. Now the interesting thing here is that this is slightly better than the Tab S, even though the Tab S has 3 gigs of RAM versus 2 gigs on the Tab Pro. So in conclusion, there's a lot to love about that Tab S with the 10.5-inch Super AMOLED display. It's the only tablet this size with a Super AMOLED display, and it's definitely one of the best looking displays you're going to get out there right now. We also have the stereo speakers, which delivers excellent audio, so combined with that Super AMOLED display, it's one of the best media consumption tablets out there. You also have a lot of software features with multi-window mode, which makes this a great productivity tablet, and it runs pretty smoothly on this hardware. So although I'm never a big fan of TouchWiz in terms of its design and performance, it actually does a pretty good job on this tablet, so I really have no complaints. And then we have those excellent cameras, 8 megapixel on the back, 2.1 megapixel on the front, delivering excellent results overall. And of course you have an LED flash, and then you have a fingerprint sensor. Now that fingerprint sensor is still a weak point for me, especially on this large tablet. It's kind of hard to exactly line up your finger, especially when the tablet's orientation is always changing. But in conclusion, out of all the tablets I own, this is the tablet I pick up the most. So that's going to do for me in this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.